Okay, guys, it is week 10 of revolutionary Europe, and we move into arguably the most fascinating component of revolutionary Europe, and that is the Napoleonic Code. At the same time, we're going to be continuing on a path for some great vivid voltage pulls. If you were looking for a session that specifically dealt with legislative reform in Europe, then this is the session for you. Yep, those of you who love legal reform and the evolution of governmental systems and the laws in which people in France and Europe live their lives, well, you come to the right place. Trust me, it's more interesting and perhaps more profound in importance than I'm making it sound. The code itself, just to give you a sense of its legacy, starting off with Hitmontop. This is something that will provide the legislative framework for governance for many European nations for a significant period of time. You've got to remember that Napoleon is successful in conquering much of the European continent. And as he does that, he starts to implant a French form of governance across the country. Now, this sort of harks back to Napoleon's ambitions to create a European continent in which French people would feel at home everywhere they went. You know, this was a system that was designed to benefit the people of France, primarily. Oh, it's stuck. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? What have we got? What have we got? Oh! Now that's a nice card. That is a Togekiss V-Max, and that, my friends, is a double. It's not a rare, it's not a secret rare. I mean, it's rare. It's not secret rare. That's pretty cool. And guys, this is going in the prize pot. This is going in the prize pot for assessment number 2 for you guys. And that's a nice card to be picking up. I think, you know, no non-holographic Napoleon cards this time around, my friends. For the assessment that has the bigger word limit, you got yourselves a nice Togekiss card there. That's pretty cool. So, well done, you guys. I'm going to put that up on top. That's not going in my collection. That's going in one of yours. So, in terms of what the reform contains, I mean, it is minutiae. In the image that you can see, where are we? There, Napoleon being crowned by the allegory of time. I mean, this is a great image. We will talk a little bit about this painting in the session. You can see, for instance, that Napoleon's weaponry is put down by his side, and we'll talk a little bit more about the details in there as well. Water energy. But what he is doing, might not be able to quite make out the lettering there, but he is writing the Napoleonic Code. And we'll see some other paintings where he's hard at work on the code as well. There's this one brilliant painting which purposefully displays Napoleon as tired, which again is very rare in the mix of our depictions of Napoleon, especially what's the word I'm looking for? Sanctioned images of Napoleon. But that one's very deliberate and ties to the Napoleonic Code, or a code Napoleon as well. I should go through these fairly quickly because we're not going to get 2 decent cards back to back, are we? Legacy, I'm not sure if I mentioned, I got too excited by the Togekiss card. Those European nations that use the code, many of them will use it well into the 20th century. Romania stands as the classic example, in the sense, shiny Pinkerton. Lugia! Lugia is back. I don't know, do I throw this in the pot as well? We've had Lugia before. I think Lugia came out last week. Again, it's not super rare, but why not? Let's throw that one in the mix as well. Welcome back, Lugia. It's a nice card. Who doesn't want a Lugia? Who doesn't want a Lugia in the new year? Pikachu or Zarude? Zarude. So yeah, Romania holds on to it until 2011, or at least a version of code. Of course, all legislative codes are refined and reformed over time, but the core basis of it continues. The Polish Constitution takes a lead from it as well. Grass energy to kick us off. Now, a lot of this is down to civic rights, which is important in the sense of much of what you could argue the revolution was or should have been about was about civic rights. So you see things like feudalism finally, formally being rejected. Now, of course, that's interesting because Napoleon instills a form of governance that is primarily focused on family lineages. You know, he's putting his own kings in place by family right and by marriage. That's not quite feudalism, but you know, it's still harking back to a form of governance that was passed. And sorry, we've got a slight reveal there. Swallow and Berserker. Let's do one more just to finish off. Because the thing I wanted to mention quickly before we finished off, and so feudalism goes out the bag because of this, so that's important. And you know, we could ask the question: is the Napoleonic Code the true manifestation of the revolution? Is the Napoleonic Code the realization of the goals and objectives of the revolution, or dark energy, or is it a rejection of it? And that's a question we'll explore in session. One of the other things we're going to do in this session is explore issues in relation to gender. You know, it's a theme that we like revisiting in this session or in this module. Gender plays an important role. There are very detailed forms of legislation introduced in relation to marriage and rights within the context of marriage. Some of this is comparatively empowering towards women, but a lot of it sort of reinforces the misogyny of the day. So things like crimes of passion. If you are a man who finds his wife engaged in coitus in your bedroom, you're allowed to kill your wife. But if you're a woman who finds your husband engaged in coitus in the marital bedroom, you are not allowed to kill your husband. That will just be murder. But it's okay for dudes to do it. And, you know, we talked a little bit about the cultural legacy. Don Fan. Always welcome to see Don Fan. The cultural legacy of changes that are taking place here, echoed in the present. We talked about contemporary misogyny in France. Well, that was the sort of legislation that France went into the 19th century on the back of. So perhaps it's unsurprising that we still have some of those issues in relation to gender in France today. Finish off. Jolteon. Well, Jolteon's cute, but it's not that rare. But, you know, we had the Togekiss, we had Lugia. We're not going to complain too much. Not many cards left in that box, so we'll see what happens next time around. But that's what we'll be doing this week. Napoleonic Code, the impact of it, the legacy of it. And, you know, we're just going to keep pulling cards all the way through to the end of the year. So I'll see you on Tuesday, guys. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. And, make sure to read that Napoleonic Code, because that'll be the bulk of our session. It's a thrilling text. Enjoy!